Alex, I want to revisit our conversation we had earlier. Tell me more about what you experienced. I know you've described violent beatings, also being electrocuted with a car battery.
That's correct. It's quite a long story, so I'll try and hit the highlights. But yeah, myself and my friend Andy, we were captured by Russian forces about 9 kilometers from the Russian border. We were taken into Russia for a week for some very intense interrogation and torture, sleep deprivation, intentional dehydration. Then we were moved to what we call a black site in the Donetsk region of Ukraine that was being held by the Russian proxies and the so-called Donetsk People's Republic. We were there at that black site for a month, and that's where the real torture started. They did electrocute me several times with a car battery. It ended up fracturing my jaw in multiple places. I was beaten so much that they cracked 4 of my ribs. I've got permanent nerve damage in my hands from all the bindings. I've got a heart condition from the electricity. It was a whole lot more interrogation there too. They wanted to beat into us the lie that we were CIA, so they could say the U.S. government was directly involved. And when that didn't work, they finally moved us to what we think is a former isolation prison in the region, where there were a total of 9 foreigners, 9 English speakers. But we were in isolation cells. At the black site, I'd been in solitary confinement, and now I was in a cell with 3 other guys. So at least that was kind of nice. But it wasn't. We weren't prisoners in a Russian jail. We were POWs, and it's a very different situation.
Understood. And something really struck me that you told me earlier. What kept you mentally strong through these beatings, through being electrocuted?
That I'm stubborn. Like I said last time we talked, I didn't want to give them the satisfaction. Everything was leading me to believe that I was going to die there. I didn't know how. It could have been starvation from the horrible food and the lack of food. It could have been from being beaten to death or electrocuted to death. And they were putting me through the kangaroo court process to give me the death penalty. And the only things my lawyer appointed to me ever said were "Das vidanya," which is goodbye, and we are going to kill you. We are going to give you the death penalty. So I was pretty sure I was going to die, but I wanted to go out strong, and so I didn't cry when they beat me. I didn't go to my knees unless they physically forced me to my knees. I just tried to be as strong as I could, and keep going.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I know that your mother, Bunny, because I was speaking with her through this 105 days in captivity, was over here fighting for you, tooth and nail, just trying to keep the spotlight on you and trying to bring you home. Bunny, I want to bring you in here in just a moment, but I have to ask Alex, what is your motivation to go back to Ukraine? And do you think it makes you an even bigger target in this region now?
I am aware that there's a good chance it makes me a big target, or at least, I'm placing myself in some possibly sketchy situations. But yeah, last year I went back for some humanitarian work for about 6 weeks. And then I just recently returned from 4 months over there working with the National Guard on training and fundraising. And I keep going back because this war is not over. It's the same reasons I went in the first place, that Russia is a clear aggressor. This is a case of black versus white, of right versus wrong. And I want to be on the good side of history, and in this war in ways that are beneficial for Ukraine. I've been adopted by their communities there and back here. And so I'm part Ukrainian now, and that's my country too.
Part Ukrainian now. I hear that. And Bunny, I want to bring you in here. First of all, what was that emotional reunion like for you and your family when you were able to finally put your arms around Alex? And how hard is it to see him go back to Ukraine, to go back to an area that is not safe?
There really aren't words that can describe how wonderful it was to have him in my arms again. And I'm glad that you mentioned about all that I was trying to do when the ballerina's mother was speaking. Alex can tell you it brought me to tears because I've been there. And you just want to keep encouraging them where you can, and you want to make sure that they're still in the spotlight here so that people will continue to contact their senators and their representatives and just beg them for any kind of help that they can give. The State Department works hard on our behalf, even though it is a different situation. She's not a POW, but it's still horrible to know that your child is someplace being mistreated.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.